All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to open up the Town of Wayne Select Board meeting. It is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. And we are going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Board members, do we have any conflicts of interest in the upcoming agenda?
No.
No.
Okay, seeing none. Okay. We have a pretty busy agenda. Thank you all for coming down tonight. The first part of our meeting is the board needs to enter into an executive session. Is there a motion to enter?
I move that the board enters executive session for the purpose of personnel matters under MRSA section 405(6)(a).
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so our board is gonna go into this room here. You can hang out here where it's hopefully a little bit warmer, and then we'll be back.
Don't drink coffee.
Coffee or here.
Thank you. I move that we exit executive session personnel matter under one MRSA section 405(6)(a). Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. So there's no action to be taken after that executive session tonight, so we're gonna go right into our agenda. And we're gonna take care of the meeting minutes.
No, we're gonna have to time manager hiring committee.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped, I apologize. Yep, I thought, okay.
Normally it would have been me.
That's right. So, thank you all. Thanks for coming tonight. We have a, presentation from the town manager hiring committee. And I just want to start out by, on behalf of the select board, thanking, the committee members, Betsy Clark, MT Clark, Teresa Kirschner, Carol Ladd, Ken Spalding, Ford Stevenson, and our select board representatives, Marianne Butak and Hazel Stevenson. So this committee has been, geez, I think we're on our 12, almost our 12-month anniversary here at the start of this committee. And I just want to share our thanks on behalf of the town for the work that was put into this process. And I'm going to turn, excuse me, I'm going to turn over sort of the introduction to your presentation to Hazel and Marianne.
Yeah, so it's actually not as much presentation with PowerPoint or whatever. A report was written for the select board. It's been shared, it's available. I think there are copies on the floor. Ford Stevenson has agreed to summarize that and give any highlights that the committee would like to bring forward from their report.
I think we agreed this really wasn't gonna be a big presentation. It was more of things that just inform you and the public, what we did and how we did it. I think everybody got this in their packet.
Yeah.
So this was just us, this report was us, the committee's summary of what we did. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, I'll summarize the summary. So again, we started, you said we started about a year, it's been a year-long thing, it was gonna be a few months, and here we are a year later. We almost immediately ran into our charge, kind of at the beginning was kind of develop a job description of what we wanted. We immediately ran into how's the town run, how we run a job description until we can identify how we run and who's in charge of who, what. And we stumbled into that, and that was quite a quagmire. So we worked through that over five or six meetings last winter till April 1st, and when we stopped because we couldn't go any further until that was resolved. And that was resolved when at town meeting last year, the town adopted the state statute for the town manager plan. So we're basically operating under the town manager plan. Now, there's a few little gray areas about. Notice on that. But I still don't understand if we're legit now or after this next town meeting, we're legit, but we're operating under that basis of that, which is really good because it gives us a lot of structure. And identifies all kinds of things that the town manager has to do and how the town employees interact with the town manager and how the town interacts with the public and interacts with the select board. So that was a good thing to do. So then it wasn't until August, when you guys, the select board, gave us a new charge, which was to again do the job description for this position and the posting for the position. And finally to develop some interview questions. That took September till, I'm still working on it. But the main parts of that, the big part of that was the job description. And we completed that and finalized it after the committee and gave it to the select board. Then that included the description of the town manager's position and also attributes and characteristics of this person that we felt were important to have for the town manager. So we completed that, we completed the posting part of it, we drew up the posting plans, that was given to the select board also. We're working on the questions, and I expect hopefully by the end of the week, that may be done. In which case you can fire us. We'll have to go home. So we were happy to do that, it took a lot of, it sounds like a simple thing, but it took a lot of work. So you guys have, you have those documents?
Yes.
I think it's our hope, my hope, and I think the committee's hope that the job description can be used not only for hiring, but it can also be used to develop a matrix for evaluation, so you can do evaluations and maybe also help you in forming and developing a contract. So the board felt it was important for us to show, to come and meet with you, so that if you have any questions for this committee, we could try and field them. Well, I guess. Anything else? So we appreciate being able to do that, and hope that's helpful to you.
Yeah, no, that's,
Anyway,
are there, all right, Hazel, you can sort
No,
of hear this.
You can ask.
Sure, I was just gonna ask, while the committee's here, are there any questions from the board? And then follow up, are there any questions from the public? Around this this process? Yes,
I would just, it's not a question, but I'd just like to say, because part of what we anticipated doing during this meeting was to talk about where we were going forward.
Mm.
So as part of the recording, I just wanted to be able to add that the posting will come out within days. So we will be live with our posting. We expect to be up for approximately a month or later if it's necessary. As those applicants come in, we will start having interviews. Maybe for the public will be accomplished most likely in executive session, although we'll have to talk about how we do that. And we hope to have somebody in place. I hope I'm not just speaking for myself, but long before July 1st in town meeting. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Yep, so there's a few logistical details. There will be there's an email that's been set up that applicants will put their materials, their resume, their application in. There's one document we're waiting on legal review, the affirmation, recommendation on whether or not we should use that and if it's acceptable as written. And once that's we've got the go-ahead, we'll be in a position to post the job and receive the applications. And there'll be a place on our website that Bryce will make the materials also available on the website.
So I understand, so we're waiting on the legal review of the affirmation, is that what you called it?
Yep.
And we're waiting on,
Nothing else. Nothing
That's
else.
it.
That's it.
Nothing else.
That's it.
and then we can post.
As soon as we get that, we
Yeah,
will go to
Marianne will send
MMA.
it to MMA to post and we'll simultaneously or sooner, Bryce will update the website with the materials and
Okay,
the documents that need to be posted.
okay. And I have a question for, the committee, no pressure. When do you anticipate, or when do you meet? When will some the interview draft questions, those kind of the final part of your charge, right? Do you have a idea of the timing on when those might come to the board? No,
Well,
if you
we
don't,
have a meeting Thursday, a couple days from now.
okay,
Wednesday?
That's our
No,
agenda.
Thursday,
Thursday.
you're right.
so.
Am I right, Marion?
Yes.
This,
I was gonna show up all by myself.
yeah, I mean, I know we're not there yet, I'm just sort of envisioning, what the final piece will be. Okay,
Then there's a few other logistical pieces I'm gonna pull together in terms of the so the script we're gonna use for the interviews. To lead in, to prep it up, lead in, write the questions. And there'll also be sort of an evaluation matrix so that we can have a way to
Evaluate. the
evaluate
candidates.
our candidates, and that's all recommended by MMA. To have a matrix or scoring device to use to consider each applicant.
okay,
As a board, we'll have to decide how we want to structure the
the
interview.
interviews.
Yeah.
Right, because if we do the five of us were noticed meeting, executive session,
Mhm.
as compared to
The two of us
represent
did
two
it,
of us, right?
Exactly.
So we'll have to have a conversation about that probably at our next meeting,
At our next meeting. Okay,
because that isn't, yeah, that's not confidential.
okay. Yes,
It's such an important part of recruitment to get the word out in order to reach the most appropriate and broadest range of applicants. I assume that part of the work that you did in the committee work, and I want to thank everyone who did so much work on this committee over such a long period of time. Thank you very, very much. I would like to just hear a little bit about where you intend to post and how you intend to use social media in order to expand the reach, in order to gain the largest number of applicants, appropriate applicants as possible.
And just for the record, could you please?
My
state your
name is Paula
Yeah.
Nersessian.
thank you.
I don't have a list, but MMA does posting for communities. They have a long list of places that they will post, including a New England-wide journal, including into Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. They posted on their website. I'm trying to remember my list. I think that's as far as I'm going to get. Speaking as one of the facilitators, I don't think that we've talked about social media.
Mhm.
So that would be something that would be interesting to hear ideas about.
I think using platforms like LinkedIn would be appropriate, to consider in order to try to draw people to the website. It would be useful to consider that. And to, for other, potentially other social media platforms.
I think the MMA advice covered some of those platforms.
I think they might have covered Indeed. Certainly, I don't think they brought up LinkedIn, but because they are going to be managing a great deal of that. I'm gonna ask them if they can reach out on other social platforms, if they have something, and if they don't, then we'll take a look at what we can do in-house. I appreciate the suggestion.
Thank you.
Teresa,
I just want to say, thank you to Marianne and Hazel. I just, every time I come to one of these meetings, it's just, really astounds me how much time you all put in, to your work as select board members and having served with Marianne and Hazel for a year. is really quite a commitment to the community, so thank you for everything you did. And I also want to mention that some of you might have seen, I thought it was a very thoughtful article in the Kennebec Journal, this week about Mount Vernon, starting a very similar process to what we're going through. They have just 3 select board members and, they do not have a town manager. And in my role in this committee, I was interviewing a lot of, town managers in different communities, and Mount Vernon was one of the communities that came up in the discussions I was in. So I think we should feel really good that the process worked, that you all decided to appoint this committee, and we did what you hoped we could do. And I think it's a real credit to the town that we can move through the process that, you know, Mount Vernon described as just starting, you know, they hope to finish in 2 or 3 years. When the PJ article. So I think we should all feel good that the public process.
Great, yeah, thank you.
And to reiterate, thank you to all of the committee, both the initial phase, some of them didn't continue to work, and the ones that saw it to completion, so thank you. We spent many hours together.
I've been very impressed with everyone I've worked with. I've been very grateful.
It is handy box, it's got everything.
So I'll say thank you all to everyone. I learned a lot working with everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anything else on this tonight? Excellent, all right, thanks so much. We will stay tuned for the interview questions. Let's see, so, meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
We adopt the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second it.
There is an amendment that will need to be made on these,
Oh, yeah.
a motion that was missed towards the end of last meeting. I think there was 2 motions kind of jumbled together and we missed the second one, so.
Got that
It was,
amendment
it was in,
now,
re-
or-
it was in regards to. It was in regards to amount of funds to post with MMA. And we just gotta go back and watch it word for word, so
Okay.
it's not in there at all, so we gotta.
Yeah, I think we set a not to exceed limit.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, so, any other discussion on the meeting minutes?
Does it make sense to approve them in that case, if we know we have an amendment? I guess we can just vote to not vote to approve them.
Sure, we can table. You want a table?
Table.
All right, table. Yep, we'll look at it next time. Warrants.
Yeah.
Somebody like to take us through the warrants?
Yeah, sorry, I move that we approve accounts payable number 29 in the amount of $329,966.05.
I can second that.
Discussion.
So on that, you'll see, our paving we had done. This warrant has that for $284,737. And it looks like there was that, and then a payment for plowing were the 2 biggest on that.
Okay.
Bryce, is there anything that wasn't in the budget?
That was all in the budget.
All in favor? All right,
Move we approve payroll number 30 in the amount of $8,269.85.
Second,
discussion.
That's just a regular payroll, made up of the town office employees and the lad rec employees.
All in favor?
Move that we approve accounts payable number 31 in the amount of $269,961.28.
second.
Discussion.
You'll see
Yeah,
this,
where is it, Bryce?
Yeah,
that one, this was done on Monday. It has the school payment, so it's not in the packet.
What else is in it?
We have our payment, so in that 232,000 of that is to RSU number 38. $9,800 was to the Wayne Cemetery Association. $8,600 Town of Reedfield for our contract for the transfer station. And then after that,
Anything not in the budget?
those are all in the budget.
All in favor? Okay. New business, so we need to, have a discussion about the appropriation of, funds as it relates to the reimbursement grant, from the Lab Recreation Court project. Just to sort of summarize sort of how this came to be, and please weigh in, Bryce, if needed, but I'll try to do my best to take us to where we are. There was a reimbursement grant that was applied for and awarded to the town of Wayne through the land, see if I can get this right, Land and Water Conservation Fund. It was a 50% reimbursement grant. The town in 2022 raised $40,000 as a contribution. And then there was also a fundraising campaign for private donations in the wheelhouse of 150-ish plus maybe.
Probably 130 on top, or in the wheelhouse of 130 on top of the 40s.
Okay, so private donations to go towards the rehabilitation of the core project at the Lad Center. So in that process, it is a reimbursement grant. So therefore, to pay the bills that the contractor has presented the town after the work, the town has to use town, let me step back a little bit. In the last fall, the town has used the $40,000
Right.
that were appropriated. And it has also used the private donation fundraised amount.
Correct.
So there are still remaining balances that are owed to the project for the work that has been done. In order for the town to pay this bill and then receive reimbursement from the state, the town needs to authorize the use of these funds. So in order for that to happen, we have to have a special town meeting to determine if the town of Wayne chooses to vote to authorize said funds for reimbursement. So you may be asking, how did this come to be? Quite frankly, there was a warrant article in 2022 that made it to the town meeting that failed to include an appropriation warrant article language. So I know there were some questions about, how come the town can't just pay this bill? How come the town needs authorization? It's coming out of the undesignated fund balance. The select board does not have the authorization or the power to use funds that are unauthorized. They're not designated by the town. So we can't just pay this bill until the town of Wayne, the legislating body, gives us that authorization. So what the process right now to expedite and pay these bills is to set up a special town meeting. It's not one of our favorite ways to go, because special town meetings are generally low in attendance. It's not something that we desire or would like to do. However, there's pressure on the town of Wayne right now to move forward and get these bills paid. They are accruing interest. That's a fact. So to delay the payment any further, I think would be in negligence to what we need to do to bring the fiscal responsibility to get these bills paid in a timely fashion. Because Bryce, I believe, brought a breakdown of what we need to what we need to authorize for funds, and I think you also have a breakdown of the bills that are owed, is that correct?
Yeah, I can. give
And
you
then
that.
also the interest that has accrued.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And-
basically, so far for this project, the town's paid around $180,000. This has led, at this point, the town owes 16,000.
160,000.
Yep,
16.
yeah. 116, and there was,
I'm gonna just pass along, I know the air and the sound, can any board members of this table speak up as loud as you can? I think we're having a hard time conveying the information.
yeah, so the town's paid $185,000. The total owed is 116,000. The Fed's system was in the dark for 2 months, so we should have received a reimbursement weeks ago. So that's where we stand on that. And then in front of all the board members, you'll see a schedule with the interest. And Henry and I had worked on that. And you'll also see a draft of the warrant article.
So I guess I didn't touch on that, as part of sort of an accumulation of why we're here today. There was some issues with the reimbursement process at the state, correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, the feds, they had upgrades, so it was 2 months. I think we sent our reimbursement in October. And we knew there was nothing anybody could do. I think.
Have we received any reimbursement from the state at this point?
No, but it's in tow. I mean, I've got that from the state rep there, and it's kind of just a waiting game. There's really no, it should be within a couple weeks that we see. Our first reimbursement will be somewhere in the vicinity of $71,000.
Okay. So, okay. So I'm gonna read the warrant article. So the article reads, shall the town vote to appropriate 120,000 from the undesignated reserve fund for the purpose of the development of the Lad Recreation Court project with $116,000 in, $116,075 to be reimbursed to the town from the US government as outlined in the Land and Water Conservation Fund project agreement dated 9/12/2023. And the remainder to fund interest payments related to the project in an amount not to exceed $3,925. So the town is asking to appropriate 120,000. Amy,
So the last part of the project, there's gonna be 2 additional bills that are gonna be in the spring, and I believe that that's gonna be in the neighborhood of $38,000 to $40,000. Do we need to add to that the dollar amount to that warrant article to make sure that those invoices can be paid and ultimately reimbursed?
yeah, that's a great question. Do you know how that 120 was? Where that can, what, does that include the future?
This includes the 2 open invoices.
It doesn't include.
It does not include any spring work,
Which is expected to cost how much again?
Well,
but will be reimbursed there.
Well, we'll put us back in the same problem again.
It's in, exactly.
But it's,
It should, if I may, it should include, the warrant should include everything for the entirety of the project. Not just for the open invoices, but for everything we anticipate for the conclusion of the project. To
Or
bring
we'll be
us
in the
to
same boat.
To
That's right.
bring us to the conclusion of the
That's right.
project.
Amy, do you have that exact number?
So I know that on the October invoice, we still have a balance of 30,000. On the November invoice, there's a balance of $86,075. And I believe that the spring is going to be around 39,000. I'm not exactly sure of the exact dollar amount, but I can get that to you.
Well, we have to, otherwise we'll just pay the same bills again.
Amy or Bryce, is there another $1,500 bill? The 1,500, was there a $1,500 invoice dated 12/26
Currently for the
or
shed,
11/26?
for the shed, yes.
Okay, so we got another 15 plus 1,500. So it's really, so what we're owed right now is 117,575. If we count that 1,500. The 116,075 doesn't include the 1,500, I don't think. Right, you might want to look and see.
Are we,
The shed was paid for already.
Oh, okay, so that's
Yeah, that-
$1,500 was paid.
Correct.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
so Amy, is the anticipated $38,000 project or the bill in the spring, that's the one, the last, the only, is
There's
that?
supposed to be, my understanding is 2 invoices in spring. One is for the final work that's on there, and then contingency or some final amounts that until the project's completed. But I remember seeing, I want to say that's 38,000 in my mind, but. I don't know the exact amount.
Well, it would be nice if you could let him know, what's the notice requirement for a special meeting?
See, 7 days.
7 days.
Okay, so what were you planning on doing, having a meeting?
But I mean, and I could be wrong with this, we're appropriating 120,000, which is gonna be reimbursed. So, in the spring, we're not gonna exceed that $120,000 amount.
Yeah, let's ask, let's ask Phil if we're covered. Because otherwise, I mean, if it's not reimbursed, we've got bigger problems than this.
Yeah.
But everything going like it should, the 120 will, the 116,075 will be paid back to the town before the $35,000 bill comes due.
Well, 50% of it will be paid back to the town. Because we're gonna
Okay,
be billing the state for half of it.
how much have we paid so far?
So, 185,000.
The other, and we should talk to Phil about this, but another way to, because it sounds like we don't. It sounds like we don't have hard numbers. Is that true? Like, I mean, we have we're anticipating,
Well, I mean, Bryce has a copy of the agreement
Okay.
with,
so we do have,
with the vendor.
I-
And so I think it's 340,000
I have it.
and some change.
oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking specifically about the springtime project. It's because it's. Cause I guess what I'm getting at, another way we could do this, and we could run this by Phil, and I'm not saying, it's an idea, is we could authorize. To borrow the necessary funds for this project to cover anticipated costs with reimbursement. I mean, that's really the language that was missing in the original warrant article. It was just, it was an authorization. But I think it's always better to set the number.
So my
I think
recommendation
we have to
is,
set the number.
I think so.
what you're
Yeah.
missing is the 163,700 that the Land and Water Conservation Fund did it. What you're asking for is you're asking for the town to pay that 163,700 that the Land and Water Conservation Fund authorized so that we can cover the whole project. Right now, we've put all the money that the community
Correct.
has raised. And what we need is authorization for that 163,700
The
to be able to
difference.
finish paying everything.
Right.
So
So
that's
that,
the figure that I would use on there.
right,
Could you phrase it, Paul Andersessian, could you phrase it to be a not to exceed?
right.
And instead of using these very specific figures as currently stated in the warrant, could it be a not to exceed $163,700?
Right.
Because that's the amount of the grant.
That's the amount of the grant.
Right.
That the LWCF has awarded to the town.
Yeah.
That we know.
Yes.
That
yeah.
we know that the state, the feds will be reimbursing us.
Right.
So, Amy, is the whole project 327.4?
No, it's 340.
Okay.
And
So-
there was $163,700 that was from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. The town then raised another around 185,000,
Yes,
and so the two together.
But the missing authorization was around the 163,000.
Correct. Yes,
So we don't need to approve the whole amount because that was, part of that was previously approved.
correct.
so, well, yeah, the 120 you're suggesting should be changed to 163,700. And then how much would be reimbursed? What would be, what is the amount of the grant? 180,
The amount of the grant is $163,700.
okay,
The amount of the entire project is in the $340,000 range. The community raised $185,000, plus we've gotten some additional contributions already to that. What I feel the town needs to authorize is the 163,700, because that's what you're
yeah.
having the problem, that's what the issue is that.
It's the
we have to
difference.
Be able to get that money.
What I-
That's what we'll be.
Okay, so this should be 163,700. Actually, the 120 needs to be more because there has to be an interest payment in there.
When that's,
Okay,
yes,
yes, so,
It-
so it's 160, if we're gonna still go with 39.25,
Oh, I see 163 plus the
interest.
Yeah.
interest.
which is probably more than we need, but that's okay.
It's,
I'd rather be in a position to be some last minute little thing.
39.25. Okay, so 163.7 plus 39.25 is 167,625. So this resolution or this article should say, shall the town vote to appropriate $163,700? No.
no,
Should the town appropriate $167,625 from the undesignated reserve fund with $163,700 to be reimbursed and interest payments not to exceed 39.25.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Yes, because interest payments, we're not gonna be able to.
Yeah,
get.
I understand that. So the 120 in this draft article, and then we need to find out from Bryce, does that work out if we change those amounts?
Yeah, nothing's set in stone. This is just a draft. You
Okay,
guys,
no, but as far as availability of undesignated reserve funds.
yeah.
Okay, that's,
we have,
yes, that's what I was asking.
so the warrant article, according to this, should read the shall the town, I'm gonna repeat it, just shall the town vote to appropriate $167,625 from the undesignated reserve fund for the purpose of the court project. I'm skipping over the, with $163,700 to be reimbursed to the town from US government. In the remainder to fund interest payments of $3,925.
Yes,
You're sure that interest payment will be sufficient?
well,
What did the bill come in today? Would have that have the interest?
Henry and I worked on that today.
there are a couple ways you can look at this, and then there's the way the contractor's looking at it, which I don't quite understand. He sent us several interest bills. And, okay, and the first question is, what are the terms? I've looked through the contract, which is just the contractor's proposal signed. There's no provision in there for interest. The provision for interest comes in what Eddie sticks on his invoices, 1.5% after 30 days, okay? Now, that doesn't mean we don't owe interest. There's a law that says in a construction contract, the owner, if the contract says the payment terms and interest, that's it. If the contract doesn't say it, the terms are the bill's due within 20 days and interest accrues on late payments at a certain rate that's set in the law, which right now is 10.7%. Okay, so one way to look at it is assuming 20-day pay period, 10.7% interest, and full payment of these outstanding invoices by 1/24/25. So that we get a special town meeting, get them a check then, That, as I figure it out, comes out to be $1,964.05 interest. Okay, if we assume a 30-day pay period and 18% interest after the 30 days, then the amount goes up to $2,517.31. The contractor sent us interest bills, and his interest bills, at least as I understand them, and I may not understand them properly, but his interest bill, if the payment was 31 days, he charged 18% interest from the date of the invoice. Okay? So it's like, if on the 31st day, you owe me 30 days at 18%. And his numbers are higher, of course. My suggestion, and this is really a purchasing agent, contract administrator issue. My suggestion would be, when we pay the contractor, I don't think we should negotiate. I don't think we should ask for a break. When we pay the contractor, we should send them interest of $1,964.05 with a letter that explains, here's what we think you're entitled to. And we've given it to you. If you think that's wrong, come back and tell us why. And just in case I don't know what I'm talking about, which is highly possible, you know, we put in here up to $3,925 to.
Right.
But I say pay him the interest that's required under the statute. And hey, maybe it's in there in fine print and I didn't see it, the 18%, but then he can come back and say, look, here it is.
Well, 125 is not 20 days from 17, is it?
Here's the, no, 124 is when we would finally pay him. And so that payment would be, here was the invoice date. Boy,
Yeah.
here's when it was at 20 days, here's when it was due, okay? If we pay it on this date, it's 38 days late. That's how this spreadsheet works. And in 30 days, interest on that amount is at $950, okay?
What do you need for an action?
So the $3,925, right now, if we can come in under that with payment, great,
okay.
but we've authorized it if we have to, if we're obligated to pay that.
Yes, sir. And that was kind of what Phil said, we'll put something out there to cover the fact that maybe the check won't get there. Even at the best, you know, these numbers may be off. I'm assuming we can get them a check by 124.25.
So. I think we need to do a couple things. We're gonna have to take action on setting this warrant article, and then we're also going to have to set a special town meeting time and date. And we've got a 7-day notice, is that right? So our next board meeting is what, the 21st?
Yep.
So we could either tie it into our next board meeting, or we could do we could push it forward.
Well, I would like to not put it off any longer than it has to. And the only reason is the rate, and it's not a big deal, but it's a deal. Under my numbers, which are smaller, the interest goes up $34.47 a day. Under his numbers, assuming you don't pay from the invoice date, but after 30 days, the interest goes up about $60 a day. So, I mean, it's not, you know, so why do we want to?
So can we set it for is Tuesday the 14th?
It would
Next-
probably have to
next
be after
Tuesday's the
Tuesday.
fourth.
Yeah, it would have to
Yeah.
be.
You'd have to
Yeah.
post that
Tuesday.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Thursday of that week, if we want to do that.
there's a,
When does
Planning
the
board.
planning board meet that Thursday?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, what
We
board
can do
members
it
want to
with
do?
our next, we can do it with our next meeting. Brad, if that's what.
Oh, I'm just throwing out dates.
Yeah.
Meeting to 6 o'clock, or you mean to run all day, at 8 to 8?
I think this would be, we would have to get a monitor,
Yeah,
moderator.
yes. It's an in-person meeting, or else we're talking about 60 days. We're talking about a long time before we could have an election.
Yeah, so it'd be a on the floor vote.
Yes, sir.
Is there a quorum required or something like that?
Not for town meeting.
Okay.
If 3 people show up, 2 are the town.
Okay.
whatever board members want to do, we can set it for next Tuesday, or we can set it for.
We'll set it for our next meeting, that's okay, but then,
Sounds good
or
to
a day
me.
before, how about the Monday before our next meeting? So
If we're
Monday,
gonna
we
go to
know
Tu-
it's been approved, and then we meet on Tuesday, we approve the warrant and send the guy the check.
So on the 20th,
The 20th is a holiday.
Oh, it is, was that Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind, never mind.
Let's do it, if we're gonna do it, let's do it, let's just do it with the regular scheduled meeting. Right, the 21st, okay, we'll set it for them,
So we're
Six.
gonna have a select board meeting and a special town meeting, which we can do,
Yeah.
that's fine, okay.
we can do that.
Special town meeting at 6.
Yeah, special town meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to see, action on accepting the warrant article.
and the wording, and really the only thing we need to change for the wording is the numbers.
I can read that again for the record.
Yeah, just make the motion and read it.
All right, so I move, the warrant article set, for the special town meeting, maybe I can do it all in one. The warrant article set for the special town meeting for January 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Ladd Center. And the warrant article reads, Article 1, shall the town vote to appropriate $167,625 from the undesignated reserve fund for the purpose of the development of the Ladd Recreation Court project, with $163,700 to be reimbursed to the town from the US government as outlined in the Land and Water Conservation Fund Project Agreement dated September 12th, 2023. And the remainder to fund interest payments related to the project in an amount not to exceed $3,925.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right,
You need a motion to have the town meeting or no?
I think I combined all
Oh,
that.
you did, okay.
I think it was good.
It does take me too many notes.
Got all that, yeah?
Yeah, it's all combined. We're good. It is,
So Brent, when you
Yes.
have that special town meeting, does that mean it's just the one warrant article, that's all you vote on?
Right.
And then the special town
Well,
meeting?
we may have to have and I'm not a town meeting guy, okay, but I do believe there may need to be some initial stuff like electing a moderator.
Right.
So it may not be Article 1, I don't know, but I think you maybe need to have an article on electing a moderator before you can have. your
yeah, that's a
town
good
meeting.
point.
So
Yeah,
it may
thank
not be Article 1.
That's right. So maybe strike that. But yes, it's an article. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yes, yes, so
Yeah.
there may be some other administrative things that have to go to have the town meeting.
And you'll be able to coordinate with, a moderator?
Yep.
Okay,
So,
One
got it.
other question,
Yeah.
can somebody who attends that meeting remotely, can they vote on that?
No,
It has to be in person.
yes, ma'am.
I know. in
Make
the
sure the
select board
announcement
you
makes
can,
that clear.
but you can't.
Yeah, so voting would be present.
Has to be present.
Yeah, because you'll be running it, right? Is that, don't you, how did,
Are we gonna do
typically
that
by hand,
hand or by paper vote?
we wanna do it by hand, if it's
By
by
hand.
secret ballot, it's a whole different.
well, you could make a
Place.
motion on the floor. Doug will moderate this process, but okay. To answer your question,
Okay.
no voting
You have to be
remotely.
Present.
Anything else on this? Yes,
My question is, bottom line is, the town will be liable for about $5,000. Over and above, because you're asking for 167, you're getting 153 back. So you've got $4,000 there plus interest.
No.
So the town itself will be liable for some money.
The town would be liable for the interest, and that's this 3925 that says to pay interest not to exceed 3925. So
Okay.
yes, the town, so it's not the 3925 plus interest, that's to cover the interest.
Yeah.
And that is a town, That's a town expense.
There will be a town expense.
Yes, sir.
It's about $5,000.
No, it's, I think it's $1,964 to $5. But we have up to, if it's more than 39.25, we gotta come back and bother y'all and have another town meeting, so we're hoping that doesn't happen.
But if you're asking for 167.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get 163.
That's
that's
39.25,
4,000. Well,
It's
okay,
yeah, that's 39.25 is the difference,
all right,
yes, sir.
just, thank you,
For the record, that was Tom Barton.
Tom Barton.
All right, thanks, Tom. Okay, oh, yes, yeah, that's it. Sure.
Hearings, meetings, does this need a public hearing or just a public notice?
I think, in this town meeting, because the, article will be voted on the floor, that acts as the discussion in the public hearing. A public hearing, would be if we were to establish a 60-day notice for a secret ballot vote. Is that?
That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, so like, it's really mimicking, or it resembles our June town meeting. So like those town meetings, those warrant articles that we vote, those budget articles, those do not have hearings in advance. That we look at it, we discuss it on the floor, and then it's voted on the floor.
Just wanted
Yeah,
to make sure.
yeah, it changes if we were to choose for a secret ballot. Secret ballot has the advance notice with a public hearing.
So this would have to be, hand raising vote.
Yes, I don't wanna set up a situation that I might not be totally wrong, but I believe there is an opportunity for somebody on the floor in a town meeting I'm sort of looking your way, to set up, to make a motion for a secret ballot on the floor.
I think you can do that. I think you can have a written ballot instead of a hand vote, but you still have the scope and discussion on the floor
Yeah.
before the vote, and that takes the place of the public hearing.
But somebody would have to sort of make that motion, because I know in town meetings in the past, certain topics, that's been a way to have that vote. I'm saying that in a very broad, there might be some process there that I'm not communicating clearly, but I'm just speaking from what I recall.
And that's where Kathy brings those blue slips and pink
Right.
slips
That's right,
in case we need them
right,
to the meeting.
that's right,
Yes, I'll be bringing them.
yeah, in case there's yeah.
MT Clark, and the special town meeting will be posted where?
Bryce?
Cobby's, the post office. And the town office store. And online.
And online. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not
Uh,
sure, but I
yeah.
think John Huntington might have something to offer.
Okay, sure.
I think he does.
John Huntington.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is not of a general nature. This is a very particular situation. So I dropped a note in the chat about a statute in Maine that allows the payer of an obligation to put a notation on the payment instrument that indicates that it's a full payment, full and final payment. And the statute's pretty specific about how to do it. And if the claimant negotiates that instrument, generally it's a check, then it is considered what's known as an accord and satisfaction, and that's the end of the obligation of the payer. Whether there's a contract or the other provisions that have already been discussed, it just terminates the deal, and the payment is considered to be a complete discharge of the payer's obligation. I just want to throw that in there in case that comes up as something that might be relevant to this issue of whether there's going to be it's going to be necessary to dip again if there's another interest charge of some kind. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you.
Interesting.
Okay. Looking at the time.
We can put
let's-
the code off.
Okay.
I
we'll
mean,
table that.
and here's what I'd ask people.
Sure,
I sent out memos. It's gonna go real fast if you read the memo.
okay,
And so please look at it and then it'll go quick.
okay.
there's just yes or no, or yes,
Yes,
no, or
yes,
yes,
no,
or
yes,
no.
no, do you wanna do this? Do you don't
Right,
wanna do
right.
that?
Yes,
I didn't bring the paper.
No, so we're
No,
gonna,
no,
ta-
no,
we're gonna
we're
table
gonna
it.
do it another time. is
Okay.
what- is what I'm
but it
trying
does
to say.
go.
Yeah.
I
let's-
didn't even bring the paper. I think Bryce brought us some.
All right.
I was
So we'll
hoping
ta-
he did.
Yeah, we're gonna table, discussion on general code questions, supplements and abatements.
So we have a supplement. Let's pull that out. So I have a supplement for Jan Folk, and it is a penalty because she took a little bit of her land out of tree growth.
Okay. Somebody wanna make a motion?
Move, we pay the supplemental tax to Janet Folk for a tree growth tax penalty in the amount of $1,499.60.
We're not paying it,
We're not
we're,
We're claiming it.
we're
We're
reclaiming it.
reflecting it.
Oh, sorry. Should I read? Oh,
Yeah.
I move we bill Janet Folk for a tree growth penalty in the amount of $1,499.60.
Second,
Discussion.
Is she
All in
away?
fa- Oh,
It's actually already paid.
No,
okay, all in favor? All right, town manager report,
I do not have anything.
okay. Board member reports,
there's and y'all probably have gotten this email, but there's an MMA municipal officers webinar on January 23rd, 4:30 to 7. Anybody that hasn't been to one, I haven't, they've had 2 others this year, but it's always been on when we're having meetings. So this one's on a Thursday. And Bryce can sign us up. It's like $40, I think, something like that. And there's a manual. If you take the webinar, you can buy it from MMA, or he can just print it. It's downloadable, and he can print it and put it in a binder for you. So if anybody wants to do that, let them know.
okay, thanks. I'd like to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Bruce Mercier, our treasurer, effective January 31st, 2025. So thank you, Bruce, for your service to the town of Wayne. Anything else from the board?
One thing, let me take a second. This matter of the boundary of the town with the town of Monmouth. Claim being made by a fellow who's apparently qualified to say that it was begun from the wrong starting point. Raises a bigger question, which is that as far as I know, we haven't had the town limits, town boundaries walked in a long time, possibly 20 years. We're supposed to do it every 10 years. And I think it'd be desirable to initiate a program to do that during calendar 2025. And I would like it to get that going, to ask if it's reasonable to request that the town clerk search the records for the last, say, whatever, 20 years of, as to whether any record exists of when it was regulated. I assume you only needed to count for couple of years, but maybe not, because you don't know when the 10-year cycle starts.
Right.
Or if there's a folder someplace that says perambulation of boundaries, or something that says, for example, the fine fellows at the transportation department need to know where the town boundary cuts the roads. How do they know? There are other examples. So I'd like to suggest that.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you some more if you'd like, but whatever for the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
But it would be interesting to lay that out and maybe make a map someplace and figure out where to start and get our hiking boots on and go out and perambulate them boundaries.
It used to be a tradition.
Yes, and this is a fine one it is.
That was the first question that was asked to me when I joined the board a long time ago. So you're gonna walk the boundaries? I said,
And your answer is dead.
no, I haven't walked. them.
Okay.
It's cold out.
It was probably your grandfather and Don Getty that did it last.
That's exactly right. Ken Foss asked me.
Oh, really? That's really.
Other board member reports. Public comments.
Trent, back up. Henry and I,
Excuse me.
met, no action yet.
Yep.
We initiated a conversation with the, subcommittee from the rec center,
Okay,
but no report yet.
okay, great, thank you. Public comments. Seeing none. Well, thank you all.
Executive.
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, we might-
online. Oh,
You might have somebody.
we got somebody online.
Patty
Hi.
Schreiber.
It's
Patty
Patty.
Shaw.
Hi. Thank you all for your hard work in rewriting our town manager qualifications, number one. Number two, I agree with Lloyd's statement about looking at our boundary lines. And in some instances, I've had people in Monmouth say that they have property that is not in Monmouth, it's actually in Wayne. So I think it's, it's a good revenue for us. Maybe we'll find some extra tax policies along the way, but yeah, walk the lines is a good idea. And I thank you for all your hard work.
All right, thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight. We are going back into an executive session. Feel free to stick around if you so desire for when we come out, if there's action to be taken. But other than that, that's where we're at in the meeting schedule. So thanks for coming down. Appreciate it.
Should I make
Need
a
a motion?
motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost did it. Who's
Excuse me.
there?
Move that the board enters into executive session to deliberate over application of abatement pursuant to 36 MRSA, section 841-2.
Second.
All in favor? Very good.
Only one night, huh?
And
14 hours.
I move the board
That's Kathy Ficus, and if you don't do that, I think.
I move we leave executive session that was called for pursuant to 36 MRS, section 84, 841-2.
second,
All in favor? Okay. Action.
Move we grant an abatement in the amount of $1,363.71 in case number 2025-001 pursuant to title 36 MRS, section 841-2.
second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Will be adjourned.
Second?
All in favor? Okay.